The council meeting of May 3rd, 2022 is called to order. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Peterson, will you do that for us? And the rest of us, can we mute our mics, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Donna, can you do a roll call, please?
Yes, I will. Councilmember McDowell,
Here.
Councilmember Peterson,
Here.
Mayor Inesco,
Here.
Councilmember Bode,
Here.
Councilmember Sherman,
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez,
Here.
and Deputy Mayor Schmidt.
Here.
All right, does council have any late changes to the agenda? Hearing none. At this time, I would like to remind the members of the public that they can make comments during public comment period, as well as any item listed on the business agenda or action agenda. When making a public comment, you will need to raise your hand electronically on the Zoom app, state your full name and whether you reside within city limits, Mason County, or elsewhere. Option 1, join the Zoom link. Join the Zoom meeting by clicking on the link that is displayed on the city's webpage. The link is listed on the agendas and minutes page under the tab that says more. Option 2, tonight, would we ask them to email you, Donna?
They can email me and call Jeff's office phone because Michelle is in there.
Okay.
Okay,
Email city manager Jeff Knighton or city clerk Donna. Option 3, call Jeff's office phone. Both the email address and phone number are displayed on the screen webpage streaming, Mason webpage streaming video, and also Donna's as well. Does the council have any board reports to share tonight? Seeing none, has everyone had a chance to view the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
Motion to approve the consent agenda is published.
Second.
Right, there is a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. All right, next on our agenda is a presentation for National Public Works Week. And I will read that. It says, Ready and Resilient, May 15, May 21 of 22. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, emergency management, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Shelton. And whereas these infrastructure facilities and services could not provide without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are federally mandated first responders and the engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and the other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is a public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Shelton to gain the knowledge and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works first responders and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2022 marks the 62nd annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Mayor Eric Onisco, do hereby designate the week May 15 to May 21, 2022 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professional engineers, managers, and employees, and to reorganize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. And I will sign that in the morning. All right. Now we have a presentation from Habitat Humanity. Marty Crow, Executive Director, and Scotty Mills, President of the Board, will share information with us.
Okay. Do you want us to share the screen, Donna? We got that? Okay.
I guess I have to unmute myself, huh?
Okay.
You want me to share the screen, Scotty?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it's
Or do you want to do that? It's perfectly fine, either
If
way.
easier, okay. Marty says it's easier if we do it. So,
Okay,
okay, right here.
from first.
Okay. Do you see it okay or? Oh, I think we left the meeting.
No, you're still there. We just don't see the.
are you
presentation.
clicking the green button at the bottom that says share screen?
Yes.
Gotta get back.
Do you have the presentation open?
Yes. I think we're there.
It is.
Okay,
There it is.
all right. Yeah, before we get rolling along on that, I know some of you and some of you that I haven't met, unfortunately, personally, but a little background on me is I've been in the housing industry for 30 years. And I moved out to Shelton in 2013. But prior to that, I lived in the Yelm area and worked with planning, City of Roy, City of Yelm, and Rainier. And so I have a little bit of development background and experience in that. My wife, Terry, worked at the county. She's at the treasurer's office, 37 years, 2 weeks, 2 days. No one's laughing, rough crowd. Okay, so we'll get on with our presentation here. Then one of the main things that we want to establish is a working cross-function with the city of Shelton and the city council. A while back last year, I have access to, through being on their mail list, Washington EDC, and there are grants available. And it was kind of heartbreaking that one came our way, but we just didn't get the logistics together to get that moving forward for a project that we have in the city here. But there is another one that I think Marty indicated it expires in June, somewhere there. Yeah, so that's something that we want to be able to work cross-functionally with the city and capitalize on those funds to make these projects happen for us. And so with the Habitat for Humanity here, we got our slideshow. You guys have copies. I'm not going to go read the whole thing, but you know, who we are and what we do and why we do it. You know, for us, it's about giving, you know, pretty much a family or an individual an opportunity, a hand up instead of a handout. And through our housing programs and rehab programs on housing, whether it be a wheelchair ramp, you know, those are things that we embrace doing and getting the community involvement. We get support from realtors and other organizations. People come out and help. Okay. A bit about our, we've been around since 96. And if I go too fast for these things, I know everybody's time sent to these meetings when we get moving along, and I just want to kind of stick with the meat and potatoes of what we're trying to establish here with the city. You know, like I mentioned, we renovate homes. And then again, we have some examples of people even in the community that now that one of them is wanting to become a board member, and she started out, you know, we're giving her an opportunity with her being home ownership. And there's statistics on how home ownership and is important with the kids and the school districts. Now we work functionally that at home ownership benefits, and that helps them build equity. And here's some of the things that we, with our land acquisition and development costs, that's where we really try to get the grants and support from the community to give us some fiscal and financial support to getting these homes, because we know definitely that the material cost and the labor cost, and again, that's pretty much rely on volunteers and support from our business partners as well. You know, land acquisition, let you kind of scan through this. We all know that I'm also a licensed realtor, and we've seen over the last 3 years how the increase in housing has gone up. You know, again, my wife gets it from the taxes have gone up, and then also the homes have gone up as well. So it's a good investment. And then again, you know, at Habitat, we want to build a good home for somebody to live in and get a good start. And this just talks about the construction increases. We all know they're kind of have gone up quite a bit. Again, this is where it's imperative that we reach out and get financial resources to help us with these sort of cost increases. Again, we're kind of in a different category than your typical developer, you know, not a DR Horton by no means, or Rice Homes, or this one you find it kind of interesting, you know, that it's definitely gotten better. One of the things when my dad and I were contractor developers, you know, in Pierce County, we run into environmental issues, whether it's the Douglas fir squirrel, or Thurston County is dealing with a pocket gopher issue. And a lot of times you have to get these environmental studies and things before you can even break ground. And those can be lengthy and take time. We don't find that so much in the city, to my knowledge. I was doing meeting with one of the reps down there and doing a critical area on a property up there by Hillcrest, and you know, it's pretty straightforward. So you guys do a good job there. And then the ways that we support Habitat and funding our missions through a lot of our retail stores, which, again, at the risk of embarrassing myself, you know, 5-10 years ago, I didn't know that Habitat, I thought I just built houses only and did that thing, but we do got the stores, and people come in here quite a bit, picking up all kinds of items and furniture and tools. And so through those proceeds, that allows us to support our mission. And this page right here is the grant that I think it's going to expire in June. And this is where the Washington State Department of Commerce, I keep a good pulse on what they have going on. If there's something that's applicable that will be a good fit for our community, I will definitely forward those on to appropriate contact that the city can provide for me, how we can get those to you folks, and then sit down and work on what we can do to help facilitate that grant. And then we can learn together on how the logistics would go on that. But, you know, all in all, we don't want to leave money on the table. So if we can find something that can help support the community and bring some affordable housing into the community, that hey, we're all about that. And this is the project that we're working on right now, our Lake Boulevard project. We're hoping not to, you know, 6 to 8 homes is what it sounds like it'll support. But then there's some infrastructure costs, and this is where these grants can come into play and help make that affordable for us to go in and build. Marty did, as a disclaimer, tell you about this picture. It looks like the airplane's taking a hard right, but you know, you kind of look at that, and I'll move the mouse. Is this correct, Marty? This is the area here off of Lake Boulevard up there. Yeah, so these lots here, that they were tax surplus, I believe, is how we got those. Mm-hmm. And then so that's the kind of the geography of where this project would take place, and it's a great location. We're trying to do more projects and homes in the city. It makes it convenient for people with kids to be closer to the schools, and the volunteers, you know, don't have to drive so far out. Let's say we're doing something on Harstein Island, or, you know, an area that's very difficult for people to get to, or the transportation and things. Although it looks like transit's making some headway. That's probably for another day. And then these are some slides that, you know, we had put together, that just some things that we've done with various projects. And you probably see stuff that we have out there from time to time on Facebook when we're doing a wall raising. We got a house going on Harvard Street right now, and we're hoping to final that one here mid-late summer. We did a 2-story up there on Grandview. I don't think we'll do another one. That was quite tasking for us. There. But hey, we're willing to take anything on. So. And this. For volunteers. I think that's about it there. Yeah. So if you have any questions for us, but the whole thing, it was really heartbreaking that we had an opportunity to slip by us, and we want to learn from that and work with you folks on anything that's down the road that we can if we need to get the resources and help write these things, or sit down and have an additional meeting. But other than that, feel free to have us any questions for us.
Right, any questions from the council? Councilmember Gutierrez.
Are you preferring single family dwellings, duplexes, or triplexes on these properties?
Mostly what we're doing right now would be a single family residence, 2 to 3 bedroom floor plans. We have, as a board, discussed duplexes also. And again, what's the highest and best use of that property? We did get some lots recently donated to us, and we have entertained a duplex. But as far as into the 2 stories or anything like that, no, we're pretty much looking at a 1 level. Because again, we want to also, if we're going to have to get into ADA compliance, stuff like that, that's something that we consider as well. I think, Mark, how many homes have we done in the city?
The last 6 years, we've done 5 homes in this city and 4 in the county.
Yeah.
Total of 9 homes over the last 6 years.
Yeah, what Marty indicated, we've done 9 homes in the last 6 years. Most of those being in the city limits.
All right, Deputy Mayor Schmidt.
Thank you. You've brought up a couple of times letting some funding pass us by. What are you specifically looking for from the city related to that?
Well, in order to get these grant funds, we have to partner with a municipality. So sometimes we can't get the grants just on a standalone basis. And there was only one opportunity. And it was in the last fall there that we caught this grant. And then we met with Jeff, and at that time, Kevin, who was the mayor, and kind of sat down with them and tried to say, hey, this is uncharted waters for us too. How can we work together and capitalize on these funds?
And have you guys ever applied for a CDBG grant before?
We have not.
Okay.
Not Habitat, but
I do know one of the requirements usually in the CDBG program, especially for public infrastructure, is a 90-day break ground from the date of award. And are your projects pretty much shovel ready to go?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, any other questions? Councilmember Gutierrez.
How many volunteers might you generate on this project should we go forward? And I was asking because there's a lot of people who are cooped up and worried about homelessness, and they really want to get out and do something. So I just wanted to know how many volunteers you want to generate, how many hours, and how would we get volunteers to get there, and more, what else can we do to help you generate volunteers and make this project happen? And how do we find people to habitat houses? And there's like a waiting list that's over a year long at Crossroads to get housing. And I don't know, there's a lot of questions.
Sure.
We do need the housing. I just like, how do we all implement this, and who's going to benefit? Public and so I mean, I'm totally public benefit, but I'm just trying to get a grasp of how large the project would be. And even if we got $1 million, what does $1 million bring us?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, we're still subject to the, I guess, unless we get donations from companies, but the cost and those, we try to work with business partners, and like Sierra Pacific, for example, will donate the lumber. When it comes to the volunteers, as we say, many hands make light work. So always invited, never expected. We've had public utilities come in with a group and do the house cleaning. We're going to start partnering with realtors. They've expressed an interest in coming in and doing wall raisings or anything they can. So pretty much it's an all hands on deck sort of thing. So even if the city or the council wants to come out and participate, we're not going to turn anybody away. If you're out there to help and have some fun, and there's something that that good heart pulls on your heartstrings when you get a home together. And I think James knows, he's in the industry, he builds and stuff there. So it's kind of nice when you can say, hey, we did that, help that family out, and they're doing well. And I think your other question regarding our selection committee, and I can maybe have Marty dovetail in on that. We do have a selection committee, and we do follow, the lending guidelines as a fair housing lender, and they have to get vetted through that process. But then we have opportunities we can get down payment assistance, or we'll hold what we call a silent second. And then we're just trying to work on the, that whole aspect there. Anything you want to talk about that?
This is Marty Crow, Executive Director of Habitat Mason. I can tell you that we open application at minimum once a year. In the last couple of years, it's been twice. So it's about a 3-month cycle to get application to applicant selection down to the board. And we're right now in the process of sending a particular applicant to the board for review and approval. And that house will be what we call House 36, which will be built in the city of Shelton. We're currently building on House 35. That family has been selected. They were selected about 6 months ago. So that family is working on sweat equity on their house right now. So 36 is also targeted for the city of Shelton. And then hopefully in the Lake Boulevard project, we sort of outlined our goals to build 37 and beyond, probably be up there for about 1.5 years or 2 years, building 6 to 8 homes is our goal.
Thank you.
Right. There's no doubt that is a great program. I know people that have personally benefited from that program or some similar to it. And I personally look forward to helping you guys any way we can at all housing levels, your affordable houses and affordable rentals of, even low income. I would, so, I mean, I personally would love to help any way that I can. So,
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Schmidt.
Thank you. Quick couple more questions for you. One of the questions I have is, can you talk a little bit about how do you protect the affordability aspect of the home once you turn over the keys to the new property owner? I mean, I'm just kind of thinking of the housing market right now, and is there any restrictions? I mean, are they required to hold the property for a certain period of time, or are they free to turn around and sell the property in a year and profit from the equity on that? How does that work once you kind of hand over the keys?
He's
If you want me,
Yeah.
Councilmember Schmidt, I can answer that if you'd like. So the program in Mason County, very similar to it, the way it operates in other affiliates, is that we do have a runaway market where the value of the house far exceeds the ability for the individual to pay a mortgage at that level. So what we do is carry what we refer to as a silent second. And that's a mortgage that's held leaned against the property. It terms at the 30-year term and it goes to zero. So we call it gifted equity. So as an example, house appraises at 230. Homeowner is approved at 110. We carry a silent second for 120 that is gifted equity at the term of the 30-year loan. The intent is from Habitat is not to create a potential for windfall profits on a Habitat home. So that lien is silent. There is no payment required for it. But if they ever decide to go sell the house, there is a recovery over time. That lien, if you will, diminishes 1/25 from year 5 through 30 over the 25 years. And so at, let's say 15 years, somebody decides to upgrade their home and purchase a new one, they do get a big portion of that gifted equity back to them. They also get the market value increase of the house also. So say it was appraised at 230, but later, 20 years later, it's worth 300. That is all theirs. The only delta due back to Habitat is whatever's left of that silent second. And that's there to protect the equity and the security of the house.
So do you guys have any provisions then if it's, I'm just thinking of families that potentially experience significant hardship, a death of a family member or something like that now, where they're not able to afford to continue making payments. Is there any sort of way for them to get away from the mortgage at that point without penalty, or how does that kind of work?
No, I've not seen any circumstance like that, and I'm not aware of anything in our programs that allow for mortgage forgiveness, if you will. It has been up to the board in previous experience with some of the loans that we were carrying, that there was some opportunity for the board to give decisions or benefits to people in the organization, but that all has kind of gone away because we're now using lending institutions that carry the notes as opposed to us carrying them directly. And those lending institutions, then the individuals fall under whatever their requirements are.
Got it. Thank you.
And that's a little difference in the Habitat model over the last couple of years, is using commercially provided low interest or zero interest loans to cash out Habitat at the construction of a home, so that we can use those funds to move on to build the next home.
Thanks. And since there's nobody else with a hand up, I'm just going to kind of ask your summary page. You asked, how can Habitat and the city create a partnership? What are you guys thinking on that front? What would you guys like to see from us?
I can answer that pretty shortly. Primary goal is to work with the city to go after some of these state level grants that are unattainable for an organization of our design, in that the CHIP grants and the CDB grants are required that they come through municipality or utility.
All right. Councilmember Bode.
Hey, guys. Good presentation. And then my question is on those grants. Are you expecting the city to be doing any of the grant writing, or are you going to come to the city fully prepared for them to just support you?
Well, that's kind of where the disconnect maybe happened on the first go around. So it'd be up to the city wants a protocol where we have to facilitate that and do the heavy lifting, so to speak. Then by all means, we'll do that. I know a lot of times the cities don't now, and not to use Yelm as an analogy, we had access to a grant writer there that went ahead and would handle all that. And it was just a matter of being compliant for the grant to partner with a municipality. But then again, I think Marty, we were talking to someone earlier on the VA.
Yeah, but to answer the question shortly, we absolutely will support at whatever level we need to, and whatever the city requests.
Okay,
and if the city, go ahead.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't believe we have an in-house grant writer. I could be wrong on that, but
You're correct, James.
So yeah, so we're happy to be the resource for that. Yeah,
I know that's very burdensome, and writing grants takes some time and a little talent. So I think the least of that you would put on the city. I think the easier it would be for the city to work with you, in my opinion.
Yeah. And
Thank you,
even
guys.
the EDCs have been supportive as well. So if we need them as a resource.
Awesome. And I think that they have help with grant writing and things like that, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So, okay, cool.
All right. Any other questions? Councilmember Gutierrez.
Yes, I just wanted to show, I agree with the mayor about not having housing here in Shelton, and I really want to bring in more housing. I would like to help support you in pursuing these grants to increase the housing. And I don't know what capacity we have further, but I think this merits further discussion. And I would like to move forward in the future to have meetings with you to see if we can make this happen.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your time.
Right, moving on. Donna, do we have anybody interested in public comment tonight?
Let me take a look here, Mr. Mayor. No, we don't.
And we have no business items tonight, so we'll move on to our action agenda. Administrative Services Director Michelle Sugden has information for us about purchase sale agreement for the YMCA.
And Mr. Mayor, just for information, I will be recusing from this portion of the meeting. Please let me know when I come back. See you in a bit.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight I'm bringing to you the YMCA purchase and sale agreement. In 2018, the city of Shelton and the South Sound YMCA entered into a lease agreement to facilitate the construction of a YMCA to serve the Shelton and Mason community. Provisions of the lease agreement outline the YMCA's options to purchase. The land has been determined to have a value of $123,200 based on the Mason County taxable value. The revenue from the sale will accrue to the water fund following the closure of the transaction. This was presented on the business agenda on April 19th by City Manager Jeff Knighton, and there have not been any changes to the agreement. So at this time, I would move that City Council approve the purchase and sale agreement with the South Sound YMCA as presented.
Thank you, Michelle. Donna, do we have any public comments?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
And do we have a motion?
I move that City Council approve the purchase and sale agreement with the South Sound YMCA as presented.
All right. Second. All right. Comments or questions? All right. We have a motion and a second that the City Council approve the purchase and sale agreement with the South Sound YMCA as presented. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is an interlocal agreement with the Transit Authority. City Engineer Ken Gill has details.
Good evening, council. It's good to see you out in Zoomville on this early day in May. Hope y'all get out and enjoy the sun. So. Today is about the second time to talk about our interlocal agreement with Mason Transit Authority. The short of this is that big thank you to Amy Asher and Mike Regensberger. That we met early on, and they identified their need for a bus shelter at Pacific Court and Railroad Avenue to serve the women's shelter there at the Pacific Court, along with the residents along Railroad Avenue. So also a big thank you to PUD3 and their staff for adding additional light out there and moving some poles to make this happen, to allow that shelter to be built there because there's a pole in the way right now. The final thank you to Brooke Kiltz for drafting the agreement. But in December, if there's a bus shelter there, the MTA will pay the city just over $71,000. MTA has signed this agreement, and our city crews have reviewed the tracks that you see in the drawing that's on your screen. I don't have anything else to present, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, Donna, do we have any public comment?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
May we have a reading of resolution number 1231-0222.
Resolution number 1231-0222. A resolution of the City of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to sign an interlocal agreement with Mason Transit Authority.
All right, do we have a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 1231-0222 as presented.
Second.
Second.
All right, comments or questions? We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 1231-0222 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is a resolution to approve the city manager's contract. Administrative Service Director Michelle Sutherland has details for us.
The Mayor and Council. I'm bringing this contract to you with resolution number 1235-0322 with minor changes to the city manager contract as outlined on the business agenda on the April 19th meeting. There have been no changes in this agreement since that time. And I would recommend that you move to approve resolution number 1235-0322 as presented.
All right. Don, do we have any public comment?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
May we have a reading of resolution number 1235-0322?
Resolution number 1235-0322. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Shelton, Mason County, Washington, amending the employment agreement between the city and city manager Jeffrey Knighton.
Thank you, Don. Do we have a motion?
I motion that we approve resolution number 1235-0322, the approval of the city manager contract as presented.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Comments or questions? We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 1235-0322 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, Community Development Director Mark Ziegler has information for us regarding a contract for hearing examiner services.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. Bringing to you tonight the contract with Sound Law Center for Hearing Examiner Services for the City of Shelton. This is a service that is primarily related to quasi-judicial land use cases such as major plats, conditional use permits, variances, shoreline permits, and things like that, as administered through Shelton Municipal Code Chapter 2.36. No changes to the contract have been made since our briefing, and Andrew Reeves of Sound Law Center has provided a signed copy for your approval tonight.
Thank you, Mark. Do we have any public comments, Donna?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the hearing examiner services contract as presented.
Second.
All right. Comments or questions?
Just a comment.
Well, go ahead.
Just a comment on this one. I just wanted to just point out in the briefing sheet related to the fiscal information, and that the hearings examiner services are offset 80% by fees. And as I understand it, the rest is the remaining 20% is covered through our general fund. And I just want to make that known. And, you know, as we talk about planning and development and everything else and the time it takes and the costs involved, we're being as transparent as we can with all of this. And these are just challenges that we're facing. And it's been difficult, a little bit difficult finding another hearings examiner. And, you know, we want to do everything we can to make things fluid and simple and straightforward. But these are little challenges and bumps in the road that probably, you know, at times keep us from achieving those goals. So I just want to make that clear. And the full cost of the hearings examiner isn't fully bared by the developer itself, and the city as in general does contribute to that. So just want to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other questions? We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Sound Law Center for Hearing Examiner Services. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, our last action item is approval of the LTAC appointment. City Clerk Donna Nault has more information. And that's Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, correct? Okay.
Correct.
I said it right. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. I'm bringing to you this evening an annual approval of Lodging Tax Advisory Committee members. This approval has to be passed by the council, and the committee must consist of at least 5 members, with 2 of those members who are representative of businesses that are required to collect the lodging tax. and at least 2 members who are involved in activities to receive the lodging tax. And 1 member of the committee must be an elected official of the city, and that is our mayor, and the mayor serves as chair of the committee. So this evening, we have 4 renewal letters. All members from last year are interested in serving again this year, and we need your approval for that.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have any public comment?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
And do we have a motion?
A motion to approve the LTAC appointments as presented.
Second.
All right, comments or questions? Hearing none. We have a motion and a second to approve the appointment of Leanne Gunther, Dwayne Wilson, Space Kim, and Howard Kim to the LTAC for the calendar year 2022. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Michelle's going to give us a city manager report tonight.
Well, this week is Municipal Clerks Week from May 1st through the 7th to honor the work municipal clerks do for every city in the nation. I'd like to give my kudos to Donna. She keeps us all on track and we very much appreciate it. The Farmers Market begins their season on Saturday, May 7th at Evergreen Square. The city received a certificate of appreciation from the Christmastown Kiwanis for our support of the Bluegrass from the Forest event. Thank you, Donna.
Very nice.
Our next council meeting will be on May 17th and it will be in person. The meetings are still required to have a remote piece, so we will continue to use Zoom to allow people to participate from home. So going over the looking ahead, the study session we have on May 10th is to discuss the ER&R program with the FCS group. And the next council meeting on May 17th, we'll have 2 presentations, one from the Historical Society and one from Mason County Public Health on a business survey related to homelessness. On the action agenda, council will consider the updates to the neighborhood residential zoning code and the animal control ordinance. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Michelle. And does the council have any items for discussion? Councilmember Peterson, I saw you had your hand up. No?
Just clapping hands for Donna for city clerk.
Oh, okay. That works. All right, then our next council meeting will be held in person at the Civic Center and via Zoom. The meeting is on Tuesday, May 17th at 6 p.m. We also have a study session on May 10th at 6 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned at 6:43 p.m.